Hello everyone and welcome to Starport Resort. This is episode 3. It is the 12th of April, 2015. I'm your host, Mad Moai.
And I'm Mel.
I gotta maybe get better at passing that off to you.
Yeah, I always forget that I gotta say something right there.
I feel like maybe sometimes I introduce you and sometimes I don't, so it kind of leaves you hanging.
True, I'm waiting like, oh, is he gonna... Nope, okay, my turn.
Alright. Let's get right into it. What have you been playing these past 2 weeks?
Not much, honestly. I'm kind of in this point where I don't want to start anything because there's a couple of games coming out soon that I want to play, like Witcher 3 and maybe the PC version of GTA 5. So I don't want to get in the middle of something and then have a couple of new games come out and then it's like, oh, can't play them or gotta wait or put something on the burner. I'd rather just, go into them fresh, I guess.
See, that's a much more responsible way of taking care of that problem. I usually don't listen to my better judgment and I start something anyway. That's how a lot of games end up unfinished on my end, actually.
Yeah, that's the problem that I had for many years, and I was like, you know what, it's probably best if I just don't start them.
So does that imply that The Witcher 3 is coming out soon?
It's in May, but I have exams and then finals in the next 4 weeks, so...
Yeah, I guess that doesn't actually leave a lot of time for video games.
It really doesn't, unfortunately. But once I'm free from those, then I can sit and play to my heart's content.
You should be done all that by the time The Witcher comes out, though, right?
Yeah, that's end of May, so I'll be all done.
That should be a fantastic way to celebrate, I would think.
I can't wait.
And you have a computer that's capable of playing that, you figure?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe not on max settings, but pretty well.
That depends. I might actually be able to toss in an upgrade before that comes out. I might be able to pick up a second GPU, depending, so we'll see.
Now, when you get second graphics cards, it's always got to match the one you already have, right?
Yeah.
Okay. See, I don't know much of anything about my computer. I'm actually astonished that mine is still kicking, considering I put it together this time. Alright, well, on my end, I've been playing a lot of really weird, randomish games. I'll start with Bloodborne again, because we spent a lot of time talking about that last week. I've been kind of going off and on with Bloodborne because I tend to get frustrated, and I don't know. It's hard to explain. Like, I'll make a lot of progress some sittings, and then other sittings I'll just be bashing my head against something that feels like it should be super simple for hours on end, and I don't know, I guess I don't want to come back to that some days.
Yeah, I feel you there.
Like, it's the kind of game where if I pick up the controller and I sit down, I gotta make sure I'm gonna make some sort of progress, otherwise I feel like I shouldn't bother at all. That's maybe not the right mentality to take with a game like Bloodborne.
But I think that's a pretty common attitude to bring to anything that is going to require that much time. If you're not going to accomplish anything, then you know.
I think the problem is, back when it was Dark Souls 1, that was my first one of these games, and I got used to the idea that I wouldn't necessarily make progress every time I fired up the game. But this being my fourth one now, I guess I just kind of expect better performance out of myself. Because I know a lot of people who play these games too have said it's not a particularly hard game. I get really reckless and aggressive, and it blows up in my face a lot harder than it does in Dark Souls because I can't just default to hiding behind a shield when I've fucked up.
Yeah.
So there's Bloodborne. I'm not quite finished with that one. I ended up prematurely triggering part of the game where it tosses you into a pretty rough area, so that also had something to do with me putting a bit of a hiatus on playing the game, but I've got a better idea where I am in the world now, and after a couple optional areas I missed, I'm pretty well ready to go to the last area and finish the game off, so by the next episode it should be done, I think.
Oh, cool.
So I guess I'll get back to you about that next time we record. Other than Bloodborne, I picked up a game on Steam that caught my interest a couple days ago. It's called Ziggurat. You ever heard of this?
I have not.
Okay, so it's kind of like an arena shooter. It's a roguelike type thing, which sounds overplayed at this point, but I really like roguelikes, so this has just been a nice couple years for me, because this is a genre that kind of went ignored for a number of years, that just kind of resurfaced all of a sudden in the indie scene. So basically, it's a first-person shooter, like I said. You got floors you go, and I think they're procedurally generated. You pick up different weapons and stuff. The catch is that you're a wizard, so like your default weapon is your wand. And I mean, it controls like a pistol and like a machine gun and all that, but like you're picking up spells instead of shotguns and stuff like that. And for what it is, it's just a little $15 game, but it looks really nice for what that is. Stylized graphics will get you a long way, I feel.
Yeah, I think they can really make games last.
Yeah, like this game is going to look good 10 years from now, as opposed to whatever Call of Duty is going to be coming out this year. So
yeah,
that's always nice to see. That was just an impulse buy. I played through that once, almost beat it on easy, just because I wanted to cut my teeth a bit. Might not be too deep of a game though, from what I saw. So
yeah, but for $15, you don't really expect anything.
Yeah, I'm not complaining. I would say definitely pick it up on a Steam sale if you ever see it. It's fun if you just want to sit down for like half an hour and just play some video games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Other than that, in my attempts to ignore Bloodborne, I picked up a couple of older games in my collection, in my backlog. The first of which being Mega Man Dr. Wily's Revenge on the Game Boy.
You know, I do remember owning and playing that.
That one specifically?
Yes.
And what are your thoughts on that game?
The feelings I have are deep and perpetual frustration.
Yeah, that sounds about right. My experience with this game is every other Mega Man game on the Game Boy being some of them rougher than others, but more or less playable, just like the NES games. And Dr. Wily's Revenge is just kind of a big, big mess, to the point where even the developers have apologized for outsourcing the game and apologized for how it turned out in the the big art book, the Mega Man art book. Just like, oh shit, we are so sorry for this game. We kind of learned our lesson on that. So I strong-armed my way through that, mostly because it was like the last Game Boy game I have in my backlog. Because all the other Mega Man games on the Game Boy are fantastic. So I definitely recommend those, especially 5. Did you ever play 5?
Yes.
That's the one with the like alien robots, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good game. Because like not only did it stop just taking NES bosses and repackaging them in a weird way, it also changed your weapon from a charge shot to a fist, like a rocket fist. Oh man, that's a good game. So for all my bitching about the other game, definitely check out 5, listeners, because you can get that on the 3DS eShop, and that's one I would recommend for sure. Other than that, I was watching some Game Center CX this week and watched an episode about Sonic the Hedgehog. Have you ever watched Game Center CX?
I have not.
Okay, well basically it's a Japanese television show where they put this comedian in a room. His name is Arino, and he has to beat a game within a certain time limit. Usually it's like 12-hour workdays though, so he just has to sit and beat his head against this game until he finishes it or quits, and that's the whole show basically. Anyway, he was playing Sonic 1, and I realized like I'd never finished Sonic 1 proper. Like I played Sonic 2 countless times and beat that. Never actually finished the first one, so I decided to fire up my emulator and just kind of play around with it one night, and then a couple hours later I beat it for the first time, so that was kind of fun. You play the Sonic games much on the Genesis?
Just the Genesis. I played Sonic 1, 2, and I think Sonic and Knuckles.
Not 3 though.
I didn't own 3. I rented 3
Okay.
back when that was a thing. You know,
And
renting video games. But yeah, I didn't own. I think 3 was the only one I didn't own, but I owned 1, 2, and I had Sonic and Knuckles. So
yeah, arguably Sonic and Knuckles is the better half of Sonic 3 and Knuckles anyway. So maybe you
well, that
lucked
was
out there.
it was crazy because it had the flip top and you could put in your old um Sonic games into the top
Yeah.
and then replay them as Knuckles. It was mind blowing.
I mean, it didn't work with Sonic 1, but I think that unlocked more of those sphere minigame things.
Yeah,
which I'm
well, it
horrible
worked with
at.
Sonic 2.
Yeah, it definitely worked with Sonic 2, and that kind of blew my mind as a kid.
Yeah,
Like,
it was
it's crazy
my
enough.
God, I'm going back and playing everything as Knuckles. I can climb the walls. Look at this. Oh my God.
Like, it's one thing to say, oh yeah, Sonic 3 works with Sonic and Knuckles, because you'd be like, oh, well, those were developed side by side, so of
Yeah,
course it works like that.
No doubt.
But to build the functionality, like, to work with Sonic 2 somehow, like, there's no way they had that in mind when they built Sonic 2.
No.
So that's just kind of, like, that blew my mind as a kid. I'm like, holy shit, video games, right? That was high tech.
Yeah, that was high tech.
So speaking of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, I also played that during the weekend here because I had a lot of free time. The girlfriend was playing Mario, so I'm like, fuck it, I'll play some Sonic on my computer again. So I blew through Sonic 3, like the Sonic 3 half, really fast, and I can understand people being really frustrated with that at the time because the ending is so anticlimactic. It feels like half a game. Like, you can tell it's not done. And then it throws you right into Sonic and Knuckles, obviously, and I didn't have too many problems with that. I got a bit stuck on the final zone, but I ended up going back to that and finishing that later that night when everyone was sleeping. So
I think I still have like stress dreams about the drowning music from Sonic.
yeah, I think anybody who grew up with it, like, just the chime, everything about that is really fucked up.
Yep.
Because what you're doing,
the anxiety is just. Ugh.
Yeah, because what you're doing is you're taking an already stressful situation, like, you know damn well you're about to drown. You got the little counter, so that's another just, hey, motherfucker, pay attention. And you got that music that just slowly starts getting faster until you just drown.
Yep.
And it's not a particularly pleasant animation either.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, no, that's rough on children. That scared the shit out of me as a kid. I'd hit the fucking reset button. Still, I don't want to do it. Oh god. If my dad wasn't around to get us out of the water, because it freaked me out a lot. I was a little kid though.
Yeah, I'm easily freaked out as small children, but yeah.
So definitely the Genesis Sonic games. I can't stress that enough. I feel like it should almost go without saying when someone recommends a Sonic game, they're talking about the Genesis ones.
Anybody who knows anything about Sonic is speaking about Sonic. We're talking about Genesis.
Yeah. And I mean, there's some kids who are a bit younger than us who swear by Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. I think we've already talked about this, but I never thought those were good.
No.
Sonic just doesn't work unless it's going really fast. You know what I mean?
Sonic and Knuckles came out in 1994.
Yeah. Oh, you're saying wow to that.
Yeah, just wow.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been that long since there was a decent Sonic game.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say there's 2 of the advanced ones are okay. But okay, like they're not comparable to the Genesis ones. They're just the least shitty of everything that's come out since then. And I don't particularly like Sonic CD, if I'm being perfectly honest.
No.
Like, that had a bunch of weird systems in it with Have you ever played Sonic CD?
Yeah.
Maybe you can explain it better than I can, because I don't know what the fuck's going on. There's like present where everything's saved, and like future where everything's fucked, and just there's like 7 different versions of all the stages. I can't.
Yep.
Sounds like no fun.
It wasn't any fun on it. Well, I don't think it was that much fun. They were trying really hard. They're like, hey, look at this amazing technology, so we're gonna do all this stuff with it. And I mean, most of it I think was just like space, like, you know, how much how much of a game that they could put on it, you know?
I feel like they even squandered a lot of that on the soundtrack, though, didn't they? Usually do that with the CD games.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think about it, CDs, you'd have to put multiple CDs out for some albums. They didn't have a lot of space even for music.
Nope.
So I don't know. Like maybe if you understand all the systems at play in Sonic CD, it's a super satisfying experience. That's something maybe I'd want listeners to chime in about. Maybe I'm completely wrong about Sonic CD, but I think it's just kind of a weird fucking thing that everyone hipsters out over. So challenge me on that if you think I'm wrong. It's always good to have a discussion, I suppose. Alright, so that's all I've been playing. Basically everything but Bloodborne because I've been pouting about it. Let's move straight into news. We'll start with the new Deus Ex game that was announced a couple days ago. You were talking to me a bit about this just before we started recording. Would you like to revisit your thoughts on the trailer?
Where's the gameplay?
Yeah, that basically sums it up.
I mean, Deus Ex has always been pretty heavy on like the plot side, you know, where that was as much an important aspect of the game as the gameplay was, but you know, like I already know that about the series, you know, the plot. I'm really interested in the gameplay since it's pretty I don't know. I'm just jaded.
It's kind of important right now too to prove your shit. Because the past couple of years there's been a lot of CG trailers, a lot of bullshit trailers advertising things that don't actually exist in the game.
Yep.
I think developers at this point really need to start showing what they got. Like, don't jerk us around anymore.
Yeah, like, the CG trailers are fine, and everybody enjoys them, but, you know, like, if you're gonna do that, at least do that after we've established, like, a gameplay trailer or something, you know? But, honestly, they're just doing it to build hype and rally the base, I guess, so...
I guess. Like, here's how I interpret a CG trailer on its own. You haven't started working on the fucking game yet. That's the only way I can interpret that. It's like, okay, you don't have any actual gameplay to show me.
Yeah, well, they don't have anything polished enough to show you. Is what it is. So.
Like, I'd rather even... I know companies won't do this, but I would rather see rough gameplay, at least, rather than just nothing. Because that's all we had for Duke Nukem forever, for years and years and years, just trailers. You don't see shit all after the 90s. And, I guess that's how you end up with a game like Duke Nukem Forever. It's just... I don't believe it exists until I see some gameplay, basically. Yep. And, you know...
And I can't really gauge my interest until I see some gameplay.
Now, have you liked the other Deus Ex games?
The first one came out at a point when I wasn't, I think, totally old enough to, like, really appreciate it.
Yeah. Same goes for me.
I was aware of it, and I knew it was important, but when I finally went back to go play it when I was older, you know, I was wholly unimpressed with it, but, you know, at that point, there was so many other games had built off of what Deus Ex did and did it better. Yeah. That, you know, I was going to be disappointed then, you know, but I understand what it was at the time, and I certainly don't doubt or, you know, begrudge at that, but for me, I never had that experience with it.
And how about the newer game that came out a couple of years ago?
It was okay.
It was just okay?
I mean, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't, like, astounding either.
People seem to sing its praises.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good game.
Okay. Just okay. Well, now I don't feel too bad for not getting around to it. I've had it in my Steam library for years. I bought it on a Steam sale years and years and years ago.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm really bad for that. I mean, I feel like I should play the first one first anyway, because I'm weird
yeah,
like that.
It's going to be... I think that one will be a little rough to play. I mean, because it was one of those, like, early kind of first-person type of games.
And the problem is, I'm okay going back to old console games, because that's what I grew up with. Going back to older PC games is a bit rough, because I didn't play older PC games as they were adapting, you know what I mean? It's a completely different beast.
I think they ported that to the N64 at some point,
Deus Ex?
Yeah.
That sounds like it would be miserable.
I'm pretty sure they did.
It's anything like StarCraft on the N64.
Oh, God.
Did you ever play that?
On the N64? No. I know
Yeah.
it existed, but I didn't play it. I played that on the computer.
Yeah, I mean, most people did. My neighbor had, he kept renting a copy of that, and I'm like, this is not at all a comparable game. What the fuck you doing?
They did bring it to the N64.
They brought Deus Ex to the N64.
Yeah.
Man, it must not have been a big print run, because I have never seen a copy of that before. Weird. The rest of the news here is Nintendo related. Now, people are probably thinking, Moy, you're a huge Nintendo fan. I mean, yeah, I enjoy a lot of the Nintendo games. I wouldn't consider myself a fanboy. Like going on the forums and arguing why the Wii U is the hottest shit around. But I definitely do enjoy a lot of Nintendo games. The new Wii U Zelda game was delayed.
Who's surprised? Not me.
I mean, I'm not surprised. Everyone seemed to think it was coming out this year. Like, have you ever waited for a Zelda game or a big tentpole from Nintendo? Like, I don't know if they have a track record of delaying games much, but to expect the Zelda game was going to come out this year when all they had was, again, concept trailers last year at E3.
I mean, at the very least, they did show something. Kind of game. Yeah.
Kind of like gameplay, but it was more that struck me as final game probably not going to look like that at all. Like that's just proof of concept trailer type thing.
That was hey, it exists. We're working on it.
Now, at the very least, it sounds like they're delaying it, at least if you believe corporate speak, because there's a bunch of ideas they're trying to implement to make this different from every other Zelda game that's ever come out. Just the capabilities of the new hardware.
Yeah, and that makes me a little nervous too.
Nervous?
Yeah.
I guess I'm sort of with you. I'm kind of cautiously optimistic. Because for as much as people hated Skyward Sword, and I mean, I had my misgivings about that game, but I don't think it was a bad video game by any stretch. I can't really name a bad Zelda game. You're getting there with, like, Spirit Tracks, in my opinion, but it's hard to say. They haven't really cocked up a Zelda game too hard yet. Like, they've sort of fucked them up, but not enough to make them unplayable.
The Zelda CDI games?
Well, those just don't fucking count. Nintendo had nothing to do with those.
Okay.
To the best of my knowledge, anyway. My boy. Alright. So, I don't know, like, I kind of expect... I feel like I've even said it on the podcast that there was no way Zelda Wii U was going to come out this year. So, big surprise there.
Yeah.
There was also a Nintendo Direct between now and the last time we recorded. So I can list out a couple of these points here and see if any of them strike you as interesting. They've added... they're adding 2 new characters to Smash Brothers as DLC. Mewtwo everybody already knew about, but they're also bringing back Lucas. Which I guess, if people know a lot about Fire Emblem, they care about Lucas. I didn't like his hair, and I thought he was just a less cool Ness. So I don't even like Ness that much, so I didn't actually care that much when Lucas was announced. Have you even spent time with the Wii Smash Brothers Brawl?
Nope.
No? Oh, so it's been a while for you.
Yeah.
So I'm just talking gibberish.
The last one I played was the GameCube.
Melee was a good game, though.
Melee was the last one that I played.
So are you happy to hear Mewtwo's coming back?
I don't...
You didn't care? You never played as Mewtwo?
Super ambivalent towards all of it, I guess. It's like, I don't... Some people are like, they care so much about it. And
about Smash Brothers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it baffles me a little bit, but...
I mean, it's a really fun party game.
Yeah.
I think people are insane when they say that it's a tournament level game, because to get it to tournament standard, you have to remove everything that makes me give a fuck about the game. So then you just have a bunch of try-hard assholes playing a really shitty fighting game with not much depth at all. So it strikes me as people who can't play a real fighting game, just trying to latch onto something and begging desperately for validity. That's my stance on Smash tourney fags.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't care about any of that, you're going to be really indifferent to the other post here that there's a ballot Nintendo's started.
I saw that.
Have you heard about that?
Yeah,
You probably heard about that because of everybody's retarded suggestions for characters like Goku and Superman and Shrek and Sheldon Cooper. Chances are it'll be... I mean, I was going to say like Waluigi, but they've already said, hey, fuck you, he's an assist trophy, so he's not getting put in the game, so... I have no idea how they're even going to go forward with that. They're going to get all kinds of retarded submissions, so it's going to take forever to sift through all the garbage.
Well, they've probably already picked one. And they're just doing this to drum up hype, and they're going to just use whoever they've already picked and completed. And yeah.
I guess that makes sense. Everyone's asking for either really stupid characters, like Ridley and Goku and whatever, or...
What the fuck do you even do, Ridley? Why?
That is something I've never understood. People getting all fucking weird about Ridley. Because he's way bigger than any of the other fighters. Like... Well, he's not that huge, but you know what I mean? Like, he flies. Like, how the fuck do you do Ridley? And people get so upset, like it's Nintendo slapping them in the face that this random fucking... You know, I played the Metroid games, right? And, I mean, I didn't play Prime or anything, but he's just one of the bosses. Like, he's a recurring boss, but he's just a fucking space dinosaur. Pterodactyl.
He's a boss that happens to be in all the games.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like, people are just fucking weird about Smash Brothers. Like, if it was up to me, I would want Ice Climbers back. Because, I mean, I don't care about the game Ice Climbers, but I kind of enjoyed playing as Ice Climbers. But the fact that they were already in the game and taken out means they're not going to be in the game, so I don't really care about the ballot. Like, I guess it's cool if they bring some cool characters back, but...
Like who, though?
Like who the fuck wants Pichu? Like, people forget he was in Melee. Like, do you even know what the fuck Pichu is? He's like the unevolved Pikachu thing?
Yeah.
Right? Did you remember that guy was in Melee?
No.
He totally was. I don't even know what his gimmick was. He just always felt like a shittier Pikachu who hurt himself.
That's pretty much what it was.
I have no idea how they're going forward here. I guess it could be interesting, or they could just do something boring like bring back another fucking palette swap. Like Wolf. Who was like a third Fox character. Like, you know how Melee had Fox and then Falco?
Yep.
Then, like, Brawl had Wolf, who's just like Gray Fox. Now, Gray Fox, on the other hand, I could get behind that.
That would be cool.
Unfortunately, Snake's not in the game.
I don't know why. It's too bad.
Okay, so that's all I have here for Smash Brothers. They offhand mentioned some yarn amiibos. Have you seen pictures of these things?
Yeah.
They're pretty adorable, but they seem like they'd fall apart really easily.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like maybe I'll buy one for my girlfriend, but like I don't want that on my shelf. That's gonna collect dust like a motherfucker. How do you even dust yarn?
Oh, the vacuum. I don't know.
Then you'll unravel the motherfucker. If like one piece, I don't know. I don't know how they're gonna do that. Like maybe there's a solid base inside. I don't know. It's a cool idea. It's nice to see they're doing different things
stuff.
with amiibos. Yeah. They also mentioned these card things, like them, and like that I've got no interest in because I didn't buy an e-reader the first time it came up. So fuck that. They also announced this weird free-to-play app thing where you can tap an amiibo on it and it'll unlock a random demo of a game. They're kind of like pushing that like it's a video game as opposed to shitty advertising using things you already had to pay for.
They're really, really pushing this amiibo shit, aren't they?
Oh yeah. Well, like it feels like it wouldn't even be unreasonable to just give people an NES game or something tied to the amiibo. Like, you paid $15 for this Mario, let's say. You take the fucker, you slap him on the game. Is it unreasonable to expect just, here's Super Mario Brothers? Like, how that's like $5 on the eShop.
Yeah.
Instead, they're giving you, like, weird demos, and from what I understand, it's not even a demo that correlates to the figure you put on it. So you could put on a Samus and get, like, Yoshi's Cookie. Or something like that, you know what I mean?
Interesting.
So that's one word for it. I don't know. It's nice to see they're at least trying to keep amiibos relevant, because I don't know.
Yeah,
If they want them to flourish, they gotta do stuff with the amiibos. They can't just be like sort of side stuff in games forever. Like, I'm wondering how long before there's a Skylanders type game with amiibos. That might be okay.
maybe.
Nah, it's hard to say. I'm also done buying amiibos, I think, for the foreseeable future, unless I happen to find a Captain Falcon somewhere. They also talked briefly about Mario Maker, which just seems to be an official ROM hack tool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's kind of boring.
Kind of boring. I mean, it all depends on how much support it gets from the community. Kind of like Little Big Planet. I never cared much for Little Big Planet, but maybe Mario Maker will be different. Especially if it's priced right.
I don't know. Nintendo seems kind of weird about the letting other people do stuff with their intellectual property, so I don't know.
I'm just waiting to see how many 1-1s we get in this one. In an actual Mario Maker. The reason I put this on the list is because I didn't know that there's 3 palette sets you can use. I think it's like the original Super Mario Brothers, like the NES one, and you can use Super Mario 3 sprites. Like, it all translates. Like, you'll make a series of blocks, right, and you can just switch between the palettes. So you got Mario 1, Mario 3, Super Mario World, and New Super Mario Bros. And I think they had said the physics will change between palettes as well. So a game will control like Mario 1 if you got the Mario 1 palette, and control like Super Mario World if you got Mario World palette, etc. So that's kind of an interesting idea, even on its own. Like, the same level can be completely different depending on which palette you use on it. You know what I mean? I
wonder if you can like switch like that. Oh, I'm gonna have like the first third be this palette, and then the middle third be that palette. That'd be interesting.
Be interesting. I wouldn't hold my breath for something like that.
No.
It seems like it might be kind of rough to do. Although at the same time, you're just talking about like ROM hack tools. Like, shit, people have been doing this for years on toaster computers. So I don't know. Maybe they'll fuck it up somehow. But so far it's looking okay. Like, if this comes out at $40 or something like that, I might just fuck around with it a bit. You know?
Maybe.
Might be interesting. Splatoon comes out the end of May. Have you been keeping your eye on Splatoon at all? Do you even know what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, you saw it at E3, so.
Nintendo is so terrible about online.
I want to agree with you. People say the Wii U's online isn't bad, but like, whenever I try, it's shitty. And granted, I've got a pretty shitty connection, but if I can't play the game online, like, I'm not gonna... I don't know. It also seems like, who the fuck am I gonna play Splatoon with? Because most of my friends don't have a Wii U. Like, you don't have a Wii U. Otherwise, we could play Splatoon for days.
But I don't know.
Like, I don't want to play with randoms, because I don't play any games with randoms. It's just not fun for me. I don't know. I feel like I want to give it a chance, because I can't remember the last time Nintendo put out a new IP.
A really, really good game.
Yeah, it looks good. It's just like, will I have people to play it with?
I'm kind of upset that it's on the Wii U, to be honest. Like,
you're like still dead set against buying the Wii U, huh?
Not dead set, but it's like, okay, here's this great game, but like, how many other people are gonna play it though?
I think pretty much everybody with a Wii U is gonna buy this game. That's the narrative I'm hearing around now. So I don't think it'll hurt for players. It's just, who am I gonna play with? You know?
Yeah.
I feel like the Wii U's at a good point right now. Like, the next time they drop the price for whatever reason, it's probably a good time to pick it up, because there's a lot of good shit now between Bayonetta 2 and Smash Brothers and all that.
What does it cost right now? Oh, it's $300, yeah.
Is this still $300?
That's what it looks like on Amazon.
I feel like $250 would be a good price point.
$250 would be really nice.
Like, I'd snap it up like that if it was $250.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I bought mine for $350 last spring. So I don't know. Wii U continues to have interesting games coming out, which is more than I can say for the PS4. Outside of Bloodborne. They also announced, in a bittersweet way, N64 and DS games are now available on the eShop, but only on the Wii U. Because who the fuck would want to play an N64 game on their 3DS, for example?
I can't even imagine that.
I mean, no, I was being sarcastic. I would love to play N64 games on my 3DS. I would love to play Super Nintendo games on my 3DS, but for some reason they won't let me do that either.
Yeah, Super Nintendo, I don't know. I would assume that controlling it would be difficult.
Well, I have a... Well, no, think about this. N64 only had one stick.
It's true.
They controlled a lot of games with shoulder buttons, face buttons. And with the new 3DS, I mean, they've got to have a reason to push that. So, you know, a lot of games
that
could
could work
control
out,
better
I guess,
with the new
for most of
3DS
them.
stick. I don't know. I think the reason they lock these games to the like console hardware is some archaic philosophy that console games belong on consoles. So that's why I can only play, like, if I wanted to buy Mega Man X on my 3DS, I'm just fucked out of luck because it's only available on the Super Nintendo.
Oh my god.
But I can play NES games on my 3DS. Like, they've got save states and everything.
If I could have Mega Man X on my 3DS.
Right? That's what I'm waiting for. Like, just get your head out of your ass. Like, why would you stop people from buying games?
They must hate money. It's the only thing I can think. Nintendo hates money.
That's the only conclusion you can come to sometimes between, like, all the amiibo bullshit we talked about last week. And, like, if they put Mega Man X on sale, Super Mario World on sale on the Wii U, or the 3DS eShop, like, everybody who owns a 3DS would buy that shit if they priced it appropriately. I mean, shit, I would pay $20 for Mega Man X just to have that on a handheld. Because that's a good fucking game. But because they've got some weird fucking philosophy, they won't let you play a Super Nintendo game on your handheld. Despite the fact that I can play all kinds of NES games on my handheld. Like, what, a couple years makes a big fucking difference?
You could honestly buy a PlayStation Vita and turn it into an emulator to play all of those games.
And I've really thought about that from time to time, but I don't know. I'd rather just... It's hard to explain.
I would prefer to have my Nintendo games on a Nintendo console, you know, like a handheld.
Yeah.
But allow me to buy them, please. I don't understand why they insist on, like, keeping them.
And you want to know the real kicker? You can buy games like Golden Sun, whatever, GBA games, and now DS games, Wii U only. I mean, for Christ's sake, the GBA was portable to begin with. If I wanted to buy Golden Sun on the eShop, I can only play it on my Wii U. That's a Game Boy Advance game.
That's dumb. That's just dumb.
3DS perfectly capable of playing GBA games. Want to know how I know? So. Because I'm an ambassador. I got a bunch for free as a sorry we fucked you in the face. So I don't know. Sometimes it really does feel like Nintendo hates money. Like the DS specifically. The fact that you can't buy the DS games and play them on the 3DS is just asinine. That's the only way I can put it. You want to know how you control it on the Wii U? You use the touchpad on the Wii U controller.
Oh my god.
But you can't put it on the 3DS. So I don't know what they're doing. They could be doing so much better with that eShop shit if they just open it up on the 3DS.
I don't know who is in charge of that, but whoever it is needs to be fired because they're stupid.
They gotta get their heads out of their asses.
Ideas are bad, and they need to accept the fact that it's the year 2015, and yeah.
Like I can sort of understand them not wanting to put out N64 games on the 3DS eShop because they're selling like the HD remakes of Star Fox and the 2 Zelda games, which sort of tangential. I found out that the Ocarina of Time for the 3DS, that's like apparently a super rare, hard to find game now because it's out of print. Like they made a number of games and they didn't make any more. So you can't just go to a store and buy that. You have to go to eBay and buy that for like $100.
And Nintendo is saying none of that money.
Yeah. Like you say, it's like Nintendo hates money. Like something. But this is why I say I'm not a Nintendo fanboy, because I've got plenty of problems with Nintendo stuff and the way they do business. I hate the fact that you don't have the digital games you buy tied to an account. You always have to go through customer service if your game system breaks or something like that, or God forbid it gets stolen. Right? Like you don't have those games tied to anything. They're tied to the system you put them on. Which, I mean, there's ways to recover it, but it's a pain in the ass. So at least you can now recover it, which wasn't always the case. But it's more of a pain in the ass than it needs to be.
Yeah, there's just no reason.
Which is just, I guess, indicative of most of Nintendo's problems in recent years. It's more of a pain in the ass than it needs to be. It's not as straightforward as it should be. Like, let me play Golden Sun on my 3DS, for Christ's sake. What's wrong with you? So that was a bit of a tangent as well, all of that. On the bright side, it seems like they're sort of getting near awareness on people having to rebuy games, especially with the announcement of the N64 games on the Wii U. They've said that if you already own the N64 game on the Wii eShop, you can get these new versions, which are the same fucking game, for $2 as opposed to the $8 that they would charge you normally. So, I mean, you still have to pay again, but at least they're reducing the price. Like, it's not a solution, but it's a step in the right direction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At least it's them acknowledging, like, hey, it's pretty shitty to expect people to just buy these ROMs over and over again when they can go to coolroms.net and download every game we've ever fucking made in 30 seconds.
Usually what I do, because it's easy. It's not the money that I'm objecting to. It's number one, I can't get a hold of it. Number two, I can't get it on the system I want to, so I'm just going to play it the way that's most convenient, and that's an emulator.
I mean, it speaks to Steam. There's no reason we couldn't pirate most games on Steam, but a lot of people still buy games on Steam. Even if they don't physically have the game, it's still in a library somewhere, tied to an account. You, for all intents and purposes, own that copy of the game, unless you royally fuck something up.
Yeah, and they have, there's sales and all kinds of stuff, so, like, they make participating in that economy, I guess, really worth your while, so.
Yeah. Like, basically, the fewer hoops you have to jump through as a consumer, the better. Because then people are more likely to give you money. Like, for years, I avoided buying Mega Man games on the 3DS. As much as I wanted to play them portably, I didn't buy them. I waited until they were on sale to an extent where it was almost negligible if I lost them. I think I was paying like $1.20 or something for each game.
Yeah.
So then I downloaded all 6 of them. Like, you could be making so much more money if you just made everything about it more straightforward, more user-friendly. On the bright side, I think part of them closing Club Nintendo was that they're trying to rework Nintendo IDs. So maybe that's exactly the direction they're going in.
I hope so. They need to start moving there faster because, I mean, like you mentioned in the last episode, I mean, they already started, work on their next console, which is not surprising, but I really hope that they kind of take all of that into account and join, 2016 or whatever it is.
Yeah. I mean, basically, if I buy the next Nintendo system and my eShop copies of, like, Earthbound or whatever that I redeemed on the Wii U, if those don't carry over to the new system, they've fucked up. They've fucked up, and at that point, it's way too late. Like, how many chances do you get to not fuck this up?
Yep.
So, I don't know. That's a big reason I just don't fuck with digital games as a whole. Like, I'll play stuff on Steam, but I would always prefer a physical copy of a game. Because there's no way somebody can fuck that up short of lighting my house on fire.
True.
They had a CG trailer for Shin Megami Tensei crossover with Fire Emblem, and it looked really shitty, in my opinion.
Yeah, it looked awful.
Like more weeb, moe shit.
I don't even know why. Did
you watch the Club Nintendo? Or the Nintendo Direct?
I saw somebody on my Twitter stream had retweeted that,
Oh,
so
the link to the trailer?
yeah, and I
That
watched
looked like
it.
garbage, right?
I'm
Like not.
like, this is just fucking junk. This is just junk.
That's, I
Like,
think, for the Persona fans, because I like I played Shin Megami Tensei 4 on the 3DS. That's one of the better JRPGs I've played in years. So I feel like I enjoy Shin Megami Tensei. I've never even looked twice at Persona because that looks like shit I just don't care about. That's approaching like visual novel, social interaction bullshit I don't care about. Like Shin Megami Tensei 4 or SMT4 is great because what you're doing is you're running around, you're dungeoneering, you're recruiting demons, you're fusing demons, and you're beating the shit out of demons with your demons. Like,
yep.
that's some good shit. That's just an RPG. That's all I want from a game. I don't want, like, to manage a high school schedule and shit. So.
Yeah, Japanese sometimes have really very different interests in games.
And
Understand it. So I don't always quite understand it. Like, how is this fun to you? This is like real life.
It's hard to say. I mean, why do people like The Sims? I've never understood that myself.
Dude,
he's like, oh fuck, I can take out the garbage. Like, dude, I don't want to do that right now.
I don't get that either. Girls in The Sims, I don't comprehend it.
I figured.
I was gonna say, honestly, it's pretty much like a murder fantasy game.
That's like the only good use I've seen people make of it.
Yeah.
Regarding Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem, there's got to be a better way to say that shit. I figured with the Fire Emblem side, it would be more grounded in the Shin Megami Tensei side rather than the Persona side. But it seems from this trailer that I was completely wrong about that, so I'm probably just going to ignore the game going forward. Cause
probably your best bet, yeah.
Looks like a mess. They also announced another Fatal Frame. Do you care at all? Because I don't.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, the first one was really good.
You played that one?
Well, the first two. Well, no, I only played the first two.
And what were those on? PS2, I want to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
PS2. Because those came out pretty early on.
Like early in the PS2's life cycle?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm not big on survival horror games, so I guess if you like Fatal Frame, maybe the things they do with the tablet in that game will freak you the fuck out and be everything
Probably
you want.
not, though. It's gimmicky and takes you out of the game. You know what I mean?
Hopefully it's everything people want, but I don't know. I don't know enough about it to speak to it. I just have it on the list here of things they did. And arguably the most important thing they announced in Nintendo Direct was they're adding a 200cc setting to Mario Kart 8. You know what that entails, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's faster. Like the fastest you can go now is 150cc, which
that's
some
the way
people
it's
complain
been since
it's like
forever, right?
Yeah, some people complain that's not necessarily fast enough. I feel this will solve their problem. I saw the footage. It looked fucking really fast. So that's cool. Probably too fast for me. I'm really bad at racing games, but it's nice to see Nintendo catering like that to me. The only person that caters to is a hardcore Mario Kart fan. But it's nice to see them being catered to, you know?
Yeah.
Like, hey, if people want a better challenge, here's a pretty significantly better challenge. Like, I don't even know how you do some of those tracks at that speed. It looks crazy.
A side-by-side video right now.
Yeah, you're watching the difference in the speed?
Yeah, between the 150 and the 200.
Does it look pretty significant?
Yeah, it's significantly faster. The 200cc looks really good, though.
That's awesome, man.
That's about the pace I like my racing games.
That seems more like an F-Zero game at that point, right?
Yeah, probably. Dude, it plays really smooth, though.
Further to F-Zero. Come on, guys, give us another F-Zero game.
But let's not make it as difficult or impossible to play as F-Zero X. Because, yeah. Oh, you made a mistake. Oh, game over. Bye.
F-Zero GX or F-Zero X?
I think it was GX, right? That was the retardedly difficult one.
The GameCube one? Which I've heard was retardedly difficult.
I think it was the GameCube one.
I mean, the big problem I had with F-Zero X was I had a tendency to fall off the really hard levels, and it's like, hey, fuck you, you're done. I mean, that's fine. Like, I don't know. I guess that's why I like Mario Kart. When you fuck up, it's just, hey, you lost traction, but you're not out of the race.
Yeah.
I'm just not good at racing games, though, so I don't know. Mario Kart does it for me. That's the only racing game I really play.
I've played quite a few racing games. I wouldn't say none of them serious, always arcade racing games. I never really liked the Gran Turismo type racing stuff. That seemed pretty boring to me.
Yeah, like, I don't care about cars. I'm actually a
Right.
pretty shitty male, if you want to talk, like, from that perspective. But, I don't know. Like, I could drive in real life. Like, I can't drive race cars in real life, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't care
Don't
to
really...
drive in real life much,
Exactly.
so I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of like sports games. Like, if I cared enough, I'd probably just go do it.
Yeah, but that's just simulation games for sports nerds. Like, no thanks, I'm good.
So that about wraps it up for news. Most of that Nintendo based. So sorry to anybody who really hates Nintendo. Kind of makes me wonder why you listen to the podcast for how much I talk about Nintendo shit, because that's most of the games I play, to be honest. I picked up Xeno Saga, or Xeno Blade? Xeno something. You know, that Xeno game.
Yeah.
Picked it
How
up.
was that?
I haven't opened it yet. I got too many games going right now. But, I'd mentioned I was going to pick that up because I need to justify owning a new 3DS, and it seemed like a really popular game, so hopefully that wasn't just a lot of bad people talking about a bad game. So hopefully it lives up to the hype, but I don't have any expectations right now. I've got no idea what the game's even like, so it's kind of an impulse buy.
I guess you'll find out.
I guess I will find out. Now, for the discussion of the week here, was there something you had in mind, or are we good to go with the insanity that was my midweek purchasing spree?
We're good to go with that.
Okay, so for the discussion of the week, I'm going to talk about people driving up the prices of quote-unquote retro video games. Now, anybody who collects games, I'm sure you know that in recent years, the prices for games have skyrocketed. Like, I got my copy of Chrono Trigger for, I want to say, 50, 60 bucks, and I felt like I was getting gouged hard. Go on eBay right now, it's probably at least 90, if not closer to 150. In fact, I'm going to pull that up as I ramble here. At any rate, the games have gone up, like, way too fast, like, to the point where games are slowly increasing in price over the years, like maybe $5-10 a year, but then it's just they seem to exponentially grow. And I think part of that's probably got something to do with YouTubers, stuff like that. Like, someone will review an obscure game, then a bunch of fans will go buy it, which drives up the demand, which lets these retailers just gouge like mad, and then all of a sudden, overnight, the game's worth $250 because all the retailers say so.
Yep.
Because that's how eBay works. So, I don't know. I don't really have, like, solutions in mind for this. I just kind of wanted to bitch because, for my example, I wanted to play Phantasy Star, the RPGs on Sega Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
But Phantasy Star 1 was only available for the Sega Master System. And I've never even seen a Sega Master System in person, right? Like, I've never known anybody who owned one. Just a sec here. I pulled up Chrono Trigger, and it seems to be going for just over $100 minimum.
Really?
Yep. Well, I can pull up a better example here. Mega Man X3. I got my copy for 70, maybe 40 at the time. Mega Man X3. Okay, and I felt like I was getting fucked on that price. Buy it now on eBay.ca, might be better in the States, but in Canada, if I wanted to buy it right now, if I can scroll through all these shitty sprite art things people sell, I clutter up eBay with this garbage. If I want to buy the game right now, I'm looking at minimum. Where's the Western ones? This is good radio. This is really good radio. A lot of Japanese copies I could get for $75 a pop, just so you know where we're dealing with. Let's buy a copy of Mega Man X3 right now. $250.
With the case and everything?
No, just the cartridge. Just the naked fucking cartridge.
Yep, that's about what it's looking like too.
$250.
There's somebody selling Mega Man X1, 2, and 3 together.
Yeah.
With manuals and cases for $550 for all three.
I mean, with the way these prices are going, it's probably not a bad deal. And that's the disgusting part. That's probably a good deal.
Jesus.
Like, relative. You know what I mean? I mean, I dropped the line on my Sega thing, but I also bought Dragon Quest 2, 3, and 4 for the NES. I guess the Dragon Warrior over here, but I was looking to buy just Dragon Warrior 4 because that's the most expensive NES game that was on my list. And I was expecting to pay about $90. Seems to have jumped up since last time I looked. It was about $100 for a copy. And then I saw Dragon Quest 3 and 4 together for $150. So I'm like, okay, let's see how much Dragon Quest 3 is worth.
Yeah.
And the last time I checked that was worth maybe $40, also going for $100. So I'm like, well, at this point, $150, that's a good deal for these two games. So I obviously bought them because I'm insane. And then I went to another little shop I visit online and picked up Dragon Warrior 2 for $40 just to complete the
Yeah.
set.
Because there's a brand new in the original box Dragon Quest 3 up for $300.
Yeah. So there's a couple reasons why this might be happening. I think the big reason has to be hipsters, because
Of course.
most people aren't insane like I am, and they're content to just emulate shit. I'm so deep into my collection with my custom cases and whatnot that, like, I'm not even trying to collect new things, I'm just trying to finish up collections I've started. So, like, I'd like to wrap up Dragon Warrior. Like, I've got most of the Western Dragon Warrior games. These are the last 3 I need, outside of some weird DS ones. So, you know, there's that consumer. And then there's hipsters who's like, whoa, man, I need, like, cred to play it on the actual hardware, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like those are just going to sit on shelves. Like, they're never going to pop those things in. It's just like, look at this cool thing I bought with my trust fund money.
Pretty much.
And that's why the prices get driven up. Because you get young people with no concept of money. They're just like, I want this game. Fuck it, I'll pay $100 for it. So everyone was like, whoa, that thing is selling for $100 now.
Yeah.
Pull all your auctions and just drive the price up.
Yeah.
Like, I'll give you...
Doesn't mean it's actually worth that much. Just
Well, that's the problem with something like this, is like, if that's the only price you can get it for, then technically they've made it worth that much. Like, isn't that fucking weird? Like, maybe not worth that much, but that's the value that thing holds.
Yep.
Because someone arbitrarily determined that. I'll give you another really, like, it's an almost baffling example here. There's this random little spaceship shooter game I bought a number of years back called Gun Knack for the NES. I bought it complete in box with the book at a pawn shop for $5.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, well, this is nothing special. I played it. It was a fun game. It was like a game I really enjoyed. And I even checked eBay at the time. I was like, yeah, it's worth about $5. Went back now. Cheapest I can find it for on eBay, like $220. So I'm like,
Holy
what the fuck
shit.
happened? It's like 4 years ago, when no one had heard of this game. It was a $5 game because no one gave a fuck. It's like, what, did PewDiePie play it or something? You know what I mean? Like, that's the
I don't
only
even
conclusion
know
I can come
how
to.
some of these... I don't know, man. I really don't know. I think a lot of it's driven by, like, some of the independent game stores, too. Like, it's kind of hard to check, you know, what a game is actually worth and what condition, you know?
Yeah.
So they can kind of set them themselves, you know, for the most part.
Yeah, and I mean, like, if I'm in a store and I see a game that seems like an unreasonable price, I'll just whip out my phone and go to eBay and type it in. I'll check the
Yep.
first, like the top couple results and see like, okay, this is what this game is going for. And I'll determine if like, wow, people are gouging like mad. Like, I find the less focused a game or a store is on selling games, the harder they'll gouge. The harder they will gouge. There's a card shop I went to a couple weeks ago, and I was just looking for model paint and stuff like that, and I saw they had a little shelf with the with some games in it, N64 games.
Mm-hmm.
They had Mario Kart 64 in there for $150. Like, you might think maybe that's the going price for that nowadays. It's fucking not. I'm gonna say 20 something.
Yeah, because
that's
that
a
game
like a
was
widely
literally
available game.
Everywhere, forever.
They had Mario Party 1 and 2, again, $100 a pop. So it's just like specialty stores that they have games, but that's not what they actually focus on. They're the worst for overcharging for games. Because they're relying on, oh man, like I'm just here to buy model paint, but I remember that game. Fuck it, I've obviously got disposable income. So they just kind of rely on, I feel like, the ignorance of their clientele. It's just like, oh sure, well if he says it's worth $100, it's probably worth $100. I don't know, that strikes me as gross. It's just, I don't know who I should be blaming for the price of these games just getting retarded. Like, it was a slow but steady increase up until a couple years ago.
Yep.
Like, you could get most rare PS1 games for $50. Most rare Super Nintendo games about $50, maybe getting up to 70 with shit like Chrono Trigger. But like now, it's like if a game is even remotely popular, you can look to spend over $60 at least. I don't know. It's just it's frustrating, and I'm glad I'm almost done my collection because it's prohibitively expensive right now. Like, it's not like it's a ton of money, but it's a ton of money to put into something that was significantly cheaper even a couple years ago. Like, that feels bad.
Yeah, it really does.
Which brings me to specifically the example I have here with the Sega Master System and Phantasy Star. So I decided I didn't want to buy a whole new console just for one, possibly two games. Because, I really like Space Harrier as well, so why not pick up a Master System copy of Space Harrier while I'm at it. Found out that there was an adapter for the Sega Genesis called the Power Base Converter. You ever heard of that?
Yeah,
You've never seen one though, right?
Never seen
Like,
one.
I've never actually seen one myself. Basically, you stick it on the top of the Genesis and it's like, hey, motherfucker, it's a Master System now. Isn't that rad? I'm like, yeah, it's rad. So when I started looking at those, it was about $50. I'm like, that's kind of pricey for one game. And Phantasy Star itself was worth maybe $20 complete in the box. Because no one gave a fuck about the Master System. But between a couple years ago when I checked and most recently, something must have happened to drive up the popularity of the Master System. Maybe some prominent reviewer did a video jerking off about how awesome it is. I don't know. All of a sudden, not only are the Master Systems like worth $100, $150 on eBay, the Power Base Converter has just about doubled in price in, I want to say, 1 or 2 years. So it was now going to be $100 for the privilege to play these couple Sega Master System games. So that was irritating enough on its own. But then when I went to look for copies of Phantasy Star, that game had multiplied in price by 5. So what was a $20 game a year or two ago, $100 cheap as you can find it for, complete in the box. At least in Canada. So I was torn because I'm like, well, this is either the plateau of where this shit's gonna go, or I could go with what I've been seeing and just assume, well, it's always gonna get more and more insane. It's not like more copies of Master System games are gonna start existing. So if people are becoming aware of the quality of some of these games, they're only gonna get harder to get. So I bought the game, I bought the Power Base Converter, and I was lucky enough to find a $10 copy of Space Harrier, actually. So I just kind of threw that in there, too. Now, to the listeners, it might sound like, oh, like, Moa, you just fucking loaded and you're callous with your money. No, I got a tax return recently, and this is probably the last time I'll have this level of disposable income for quite some time, so... Like, I put most of the money into savings, obviously, because I'm actually a pretty frugal guy. But I figured, you know, I'm finished school, I'm at a stable job, blah, blah, blah. So I decided to treat myself a couple of these games. And I guess it's just a bummer that I was only able to get a couple games with $600.
Have you been able to play any of them, or?
No, I'm still waiting for them in the mail.
Okay.
Canada Post is a huge piece of shit.
Uh-huh.
As I'm sure you know well.
Mm-hmm.
Listeners, you're probably not aware, but last year around my birthday, Mel had sent me one of her old graphics cards and a copy of Mario Party 1 and 2 in the mail. And the first time it got bounced back to the States for some reason. And the second time we don't know where the fuck it is.
Apparently happens often.
Oh yeah. So like Canada Customs is a pain in the ass.
Yeah, they just, you know, for whatever reason, like, oh, you know.
He's like, hey, fuck you, take it back. I'm betting someone opened it and just fucking stashed the shit because, you know, it was... Well, graphics cards aren't cheap, and those games are not cheap either. It was maybe $100, so get some gamer opening. It's like, whoa, Mario Party, free. So I don't know. We have no idea where the fuck those games are. There doesn't seem to be a way to track it, so it's lost in space somewhere. Fuck Canada Post.
I agree.
I'm going to assume the problem's on my end. You want to know why? Because like half the retailers I shop at online, they're just like, oh, you live in Canada? Fuck you, we're not shipping to you. And as frustrating as that is, I can't really blame them. It's kind of a mess. It's a big fucking mess. So.
And expensive.
Oh yeah, it is. Mel sends me a lot of things in the mail. Game cases, whatnot. So, thanks, Mel. Also, you make my collection look beautiful. So that's all I had for the discussion of the week. Do you collect physical video games much?
You know, I do, and it's something that I'm super careful about. I mean, I would really like to own more than I actually do, but it's the prices that really keep me from doing that.
See, that's the sane aspect. You're like, there's no way I'm paying
But I never
$60
really
for a cartridge.
started, so I guess it's not that big of a deal. I have, I guess, accidentally wound up with a couple of rare games, so...
Like what?
Like I have, like, Zombies Ate My Neighbors on the Super Nintendo.
That's some good shit.
Gunstar Heroes on the Genesis.
That's some good shit. I don't even have that one.
Yeah.
That's a $60 game right now. At least. At least. Oh. Like I'm really glad I bought my Mega Man games when I did, and my Final Fantasy games when I did, because, like I said, like I bought the whole like Mega Man 1 to 6 on the NES. I got those all for $100 in a bundle.
Mm-hmm.
On my high school graduation. Any of those, like 4, 5, and 6 up, I want to say $70-$80 a pop for those things.
Wow.
And I mean, it's not like Mega Man is not widely available as a game series. Like, there were a lot of those fucking games going around because a lot of people really love Mega Man.
Mm-hmm. There was quite a few.
So
it was never, like, you know, an unpopular series or anything.
Yeah. So, I mean, for all my bitching, probably sounds really rude to someone who's like, hey, I never had a chance to buy all these games when they were super cheap. Fuck you. So for those people, I do actually feel really bad. Because for a while there, collecting games was dirt cheap, and it was really fun. Because every paycheck I'd just be like, oh, I got so-and-so spending money to allocate for games. It's like, I'll buy fucking 10 games on this website. Just like, I've never even heard of this one. Fucking throw it in there. It's $3 for a Genesis game. So that was a really good time to be buying video games. So, I don't know. I guess I just hope it goes back to that. Like, all the hipsters get tired of pretending they give a fuck. It's probably not even actually hipsters. I guess I feel the need to blame someone for my problems. Scapegoat motherfuckers. Oh, sorry, what were you going to say before my outburst.
I would assume that some of them would drop in price in the next 5 years or so. I mean, I think that whole retro thing is kind of a fad right now, and
That's kind of true, and I mean, even the whole retro fad itself seems to be dying off in prominence. Although
I
maybe
think
I'm
so.
not the best judge of that because I don't watch TV or anything. But for a while there was like, oh, that's all anybody was talking about. Like, whoa, look at my fucking pixel glasses. You know what I mean?
Most of them didn't even play games at the time,
Yeah.
too.
So I don't know. Maybe it'll sort itself out, and I'll be a silly asshole for spending $100 on a copy of Phantasy Star. But you know, I really want to play Phantasy Star, so hopefully it's as good as I think it is. I don't know. That's my bad if it isn't. You know, I could have emulated it, but I'm a fucking weirdo. So, for stuff coming out soon, I only have a couple things dog-eared here. It seems like it's slowing down a bit before E3 happens.
Thank God.
GTA 5 on the PC. A lot of people
Okay.
are excited for. All right, you got something to say?
I just pre-ordered that today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's out tomorrow. But, yeah, I went ahead and bought, I don't know what it, I was debating for a long time. I was really waiting to hear back how well it actually played on the PC. And so far, everything that I've read from some pretty scrupulous places say that it runs really, really well on PC.
That's good.
Which is good. I mean, GTA 4 was shit on the PC, but Max Payne 3 played really well. And I think they pulled a lot of their learning experiences with that game and kind of did it here, so.
Yeah.
But it's like 60 frames a second, and textures are so, I don't know. The open world, I can do whatever the fuck I want. Sometimes I really like that, especially, you know, in something that, you know, it's kind of like real life, you know, so I can come home and play for an hour and blow off some steam by, you know, stealing a Harrier jet or whatever, blowing people up, you know.
Do they have airplanes in Grand Theft Auto 5?
Yeah, they got airplanes, helicopters.
Because they took a book or a page out of the Saints Row book with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they had aircraft in GTA 4, but like the helicopters or whatever, but those felt like shit to drive. I remember
They're
just crashing
terrible.
into everything.
Yeah, they're really nice in GTA 5.
That's good.
But yeah, I don't know. I kind of had the itch to play it, you know, or to have it to play, you know, when I felt like I needed to decompress. And I don't know. I think the GTA games always made for really nice decompression games because I can be a horrible human being and then
So you actually will just go on rampages in the game?
sometimes, yeah.
Just for shits and giggles?
Yeah.
And any interest in the GTA Online stuff? That weird pseudo MMO type thing?
The heist, I will probably try.
Yeah, but not the open world, just people fucking with each other type thing.
That's boring to me.
Yeah. Seems to
the
be
heist
most of
looks
what
like
people
fun.
talk about when I hear them talking about GTA 5, but I don't know. I didn't really like 4, so
I wasn't that impressed with 4 either, but GTA 5 I really liked.
That's a game I'll probably wait until it's like $20 and pick up on the PS4 or something like that.
Yeah.
So
I would
I'm okay
definitely
to wait
recommend
on
playing
that.
it.
Yeah?
Like, it's
Like it's
funny.
a lot better than 4, right?
Oh my god, way better.
Because
Way
I
better.
really fucking hated 4.
Yeah.
That was like
It's
pulling teeth for me.
way better than 4.
That's good. So you got it pre-ordered. I guess you'll be able to tell us next time how it all runs. See, well, maybe not. Like maybe you don't have tons of time to play, but that seems like a game you might be able to jump into between all your studying and shit because you're already beaten it. So
Yeah.
you can just kind of fuck around with that while you're waiting for stuff like The Witcher.
Yep. That's the plan.
That's good. I also have something here. It's called Titan Souls. It looks like some sort of pixely indie game. I just have it pulled because it looks like it's trying to do some sort of 2D Dark Souls thing, so I don't know. I wouldn't just buy it outright, but the name caught my attention and the box art, so that might be worth taking a look at. I don't know. If I look into that further, I guess I'll mention it on future episodes, but as of right now, I don't know. The box art looked nice, so I'm like, hey, why not just talk about it for a second. I also noticed in a couple weeks here we're getting another Assassin's Creed game.
Mm.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Not even waiting to do it annually anymore. This one's called Assassin's Creed Chronicles China. I think this was part of those weird side-scroller things they were talking about, like, hey, maybe we should stop making fucking Assassin's Creed games. So
No, we're just gonna milk this till everybody hates it.
so I don't know, like maybe it looks like a bad Mark of the Ninja. You know what I mean? I don't know. I actually haven't looked into these games at all because who the fuck cares about Assassin's Creed? I mostly just put it on the list to make fun of. They're not even waiting a full fucking year at this point to put out another Assassin's Creed game after their last debacle with Assassin's Creed. Good job, Ubisoft. It's good to see you're not learning your lesson about anything. About anything.
Yep.
So, for the questions this week, I've got a couple weirdos. Captain Ursatz asks me what I think of the first of his epic Minecraft Let's Play. I'll be honest, I didn't think we were going to be able to record this early, so I didn't get a chance to check that out. I'm sure it sucks shit because it's fucking Minecraft. Like, why would I watch someone play Minecraft? I hope you're at least funny in it, Connor, because I'm going to slap your shit otherwise. Inside jokes are fun for everybody. A Tiefling asks, why did my sister molest me? That's great radio.
Wait,
I don't know. You should ask your sister.
Is your sister Lena Dunham? Because that might.
Hey. All right. No, that's great. That became good radio. So thank Mel, a Tiefling, because she saved your horribly depressing joke. Shura Asagi actually has real questions for us, so I'll ask some of these. First, he asks, what made you like Moais so much? Yeah, Mel, what made you like Moais so much?
I don't know, man. I was just like 3. I don't know. Go ahead, answer.
I don't know, like, to be honest, the avatar I have on Twitter, that's a sprite from a game called Azure Dreams, the Game Boy Color port, which is actually a lot better of a game. I'm going to talk about this game here for a second, okay? This Game Boy Color game, it's like a ripoff of Pokemon and, like, Monster Rancher at the time. Like, you collect eggs and get monsters and, like, fuse them together and whatever. And you go through this dungeon that's procedurally generated, and, like, every time you leave the dungeon, you're back to level 1, but your monsters keep leveled up. So that was actually my first experience with a roguelike before I even knew what the genre was called. So that game holds a deep place in my heart, and I'm talking about it because the Moais in those games, or in that game, always looked really badass to me, and like every time I saw Moais after that, like these things they're like spooky, they're kind of cool, I don't know. And a couple years back, I decided to get rid of my really weeaboo older handle, which most of you, I don't think any of you actually know what that was, so I'm not going to tell you because it's bad. But I'm like, alright, I need a new handle. Like, what are some things I like? And I'm like, Moais are pretty fucking cool, and there's a lot of avatar options. So I also wanted to go with alliteration and some ad Moai, because a bunch of other stuff sounded retarded, like Mega Moai and what have you. So that's a big reason why I like Moais. And then it just kind of grew from there to the point where my basement is full of Moais, as anyone who follows me will see from the countless photos I post of all my Moai shit. So, you know, that's why I like Moais so much. He also asks, what do we think of the Wii U and Vita's lackluster sales? Do you want me to pitch this one to you, or talk about it a bit?
Sure. Well, I mean, I think kind of Nintendo. I'll start with Nintendo first. I guess
Okay.
they ostracized a lot of their fan base with the Wii. I think that endless amounts of shovelware for 4 or 5 years, whatever that the length of the Wii, I think it was what 5 years.
Yeah, it was not fun.
There was almost nothing worth playing on that. It was all just shit.
There was like there was a handful of games, but that's about it.
Yeah, and even then, a lot of times you were forced to use motion controls, and I personally I don't mind having the choice, but if I'm going to be forced to do it, I'm not going to play it because I don't like the motion controls. And I think a lot of people felt that way.
I'm going to interject here with a good example of this. Donkey Kong Country Returns.
Yep.
Was almost,
That's exactly the one I was thinking of.
It was almost a perfect game. But how did you fuck it up? All you had to do was let me roll with the fucking B button.
Yep.
But you couldn't let me do that. You had to make me waggle with an imprecise, shitty motion controller.
Yep.
So that would make, like, I would just die to things that didn't feel justified because it's like, well, motherfucker, if there'd been a button, I would have made that roll every time. And that came to fruition when they came out with the 3DS port of that game, which is graphically inferior, but in every other way a superior game, because you can just roll with a fucking button. That's all I wanted.
Precision. I mean, there was no precision with that shitty fucking motion control bullshit. It just made me angry. Like, I couldn't play the game as well as I would ever want because I had that crap to contend with. And,
Yeah.
you know, anybody who likes video games, I don't think really dug that, you know?
No. I mean, like, it was kind of interesting as a gimmick sometimes. Like, you shake your controller in Mario Galaxy to do this spin thing. But that falls apart when you have to do it all over the fucking place and, like, it doesn't respond as quickly.
There's no consistency with it,
Yeah.
you know?
Like, it was consistent enough, but it could have been better if it had just been a fucking button. Like, an L button, like in Mario World. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Have it be an option, you know, don't force me to do that. So, I think that I never owned a Wii, so I only ever played other people's, and that was fine because there was only like 3 games or whatever I ever wanted to play on it.
Yeah.
So, but I think I lost a lot of like respect for them console-wise with the Wii, and then with the Wii U, you know, I still don't own one. Even if it's a better system, I'm still like really hesitant to go there and do that.
Well,
Because of what happened with the Wii.
Yeah, and here's the thing with the Wii U. One, you're building off of a name that the core doesn't give a fuck about. The core did not like the Wii.
Nope.
Like, I had a Wii from early on, and I still hated most of the games that came out for it. Like Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, Smash Brothers was okay. Like, there were not a lot of good games for that system.
Nope.
So, it was a miserable time. So you build on the Wii U, proving you've learned absolutely nothing. You release the Wii U. It's got no fucking games for like 2 years. Same problem with the 3DS. I bought the 3DS day one. I got burned hard because there was nothing to play for a couple years. Like, you've got to stop releasing hardware before there's shit to play on it. Because that just pisses people off. They sell the hardware and they're like, fuck it. Like, even a couple years down the road, they got a bunch of games again? Like, fuck you. Like, I already bought one. Where were the games then?
Yep.
So, that's more of a problem with the industry right now, though. Releasing shit before there's nothing to play on it. Like, great. That was money well spent. Feels really good to buy a console and have nothing to play. So that's the big problem with the Wii U, I feel. People they were burned on the Wii, they were burned on the 3DS. Because about the time when the Wii U was announced and came out, 3DS hadn't picked back up yet, in my opinion. So I was just like, fuck you.
Really hadn't.
Like, prove it to me. You have to have at least 3 games I really want to play before I even bother picking up your hardware. And I mean, like, now you look at the 3DS, best thing you can buy right now, in my opinion. The library's there, finally. Just took years to get there, so that's why the Wii U didn't get a good adoption rate, because it was, like, there was nothing for years. Like, even when I bought one a year and a half after the fact, I had to wait a couple months before most of the good shit started coming out, like Mario Kart and Bayonetta and what have you.
Yep.
So that's what I think of the Wii U. And if we're going to talk about the Vita, same shit. Nothing to play. Like,
no.
There's a lot of...
It's just a bunch of weeboo bullshit that they do have on it.
And I mean, I'm happy for the weeaboos who have all that bullshit to play, but I don't give a fuck, and most people don't. So that's why it's not selling well. Like, Sony abandoned that hardware. That too.
I mean, I mean, as like powerful as it is, it's really overpriced, and it tries to do all this other shit too.
Yeah.
And it's like, it doesn't fucking have to do that. Like, it can just play games, and that's okay.
Yeah. And I mean, it breaks my heart, because if you ever held a Vita in your hands, it's like, this could have been fucking incredible if you just had better focus and you put the games out for it. Like, who the fuck wants to play Uncharted on a handheld? Nobody. Like, even Uncharted fans don't want that.
No. I mean, that's not the type of game that is good for a handheld, like, at all.
So they let the system die in the water. And it breaks my heart
They
because I
let the
really
first
want a
system die
Vita.
in the water. Like,
Hmm?
PSP, like, there was fucking nothing out for it. There was just...
Well, I'll argue there. I had a lot of fun with my PSP.
Did you? Because I
I,
never... I had one,
I mean,
and
I
I
played Metal
really...
Gear Acid. That, like, alone is worth the system to me. Maybe not for 300 when it came out, but, you know, any of the countless revisions after the fact. The Tactics Ogre, like, there's a lot of good shit on there. It's just, like, I don't know, that was also in my most weeaboo phase, too, so, like, I probably wouldn't buy Disgaea 1 and 2 again. Final Fantasy Tactics is good. There was a couple, like, Mega Man game remakes. Metal Slug Anthology is just 10 out of 10, because you get 7 Metal Slug games on there. And, you know, Sonic's Genesis Collection. This was before, like, it was just before eShops and stuff, right? So you got just a bunch of Genesis games on this UMD. I took that thing everywhere. So, I mean, you know, I didn't ever feel burned by the PSP. There was enough to justify me having one. Whereas with the Vita, it's like, I can't name 3 exclusives for that system right now. And how many years has that been out? Like 3 or 4
I
at this
can't
point?
even name an exclusive.
Right? Like, there's shit like
Like,
Tearaway.
I
It's
don't
like,
even
that's a
know
neat,
what's
gimmicky
out on
thing,
it.
but
I
who
have
the
no
fuck
idea.
cares?
I don't even know.
So it breaks my heart, because I would really like one, but there's nothing for me to play on it. Like, every game I had on my list is like, okay, I have that for the PS2, or I have that for the PS3. It's like, you gotta give me something better than a fancy port machine.
That's all it is.
Yeah. Or, you know, if you really like visual novels and shit like that. Which I don't. You know, make another, I don't know, like make Tactics Ogre 2 or something. Then I'll be like, oh shit, I'll buy a Vita tomorrow. Put out games. But, you know, they abandoned that thing years ago. I don't know how it's still even in stores. There hasn't been shit for it. So that's how I feel about the Vita. And I think that's how Mel feels about the Vita too, from the sound of it. Anything more to add on the Wii U or the Vita, Mel?
No, it's just companies not supporting their hardware with software.
Yeah, that's a big bummer. Because, again, the hardware looks like it's probably really fun. Like those sticks, the screen, everything.
Yeah, I don't. What the fuck is the point to the hardware if you're not gonna have anything to do? It's just gonna sit there. Like,
Yeah.
no, there's no game. There's no point. Like,
I mean, you know, they've got a bunch of indie games too, but again, like, I just played it on my PC. It's fine.
yep.
You know? Shovel Knight, I got on my 3DS. Like, what the fuck? What are you offering me, Vita, that I can't get elsewhere? That's why I buy hardware. Funny enough, me saying that while I own a PS4.
Well,
And then on a lighter note, the final question is, what is the best sandwich? Do you have any thoughts on that, Mel? Are you a big sandwich fan?
not really.
Really? You just hate good food?
No, I'm just, sandwiches. I don't know. I'm not that picky. It's usually oh, I'm hungry. Let me just shove some stuff in between 2 pieces of bread. Oh, I'm not hungry anymore.
You're a fucking heretic, is what you are. Sandwiches, when made properly, are a work of art, in my opinion. So here's my best sandwich if I was going to pick one. You got to have a couple types of meat. You know, you get like the sub packs or whatever. You got like the pepperoni, the salami, the ham. Throw that on there, right? Slather a bunch of mayonnaise, because I really like mayonnaise. That's not good. But some people put like butter on their sandwiches, and that I can't wrap my head around, because that just
Who
tastes like
does
butter.
that?
My mom
I've
and
never
other
heard
people
that
too.
before.
But I don't understand that one. Maybe a bit of mustard if I'm feeling it. Not always feeling it. You gotta have cheese. Marble cheese is really good. I just really like marble cheese, because I feel with mozzarella or cheddar you get too much samey taste, whereas marble cheese is pretty mild and it's pretty soft. So, and you know, like, I'd like to say I put lettuce and tomatoes on there, but I'm gonna die of scurvy within the next 10 years, so that tells you how many vegetables I eat. I've actually got a pretty piss poor diet, surprising nobody. So that's my best sandwich. Also, sometimes, if I have it, I'll put feta and tzatziki. on a good, like, deli chicken sandwich. That's some good shit, too. Also, rye bread. That's the shit. You have any bread preferences, Mel?
Sourdough.
Sourdough's good. The crust always cuts my gums to shit, though. That's some harsh crust.
I love sourdough bread.
I like the taste, yeah. I don't think I've ever had a sandwich with sourdough bread, though.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I'm from
Probably
California.
tasty as hell.
Every fucking sandwich is made with sourdough bread here.
Alright, that seems to be it for questions. So we'll just wrap this up here. I'm at the Mad Moai.
And I am at some math dork.
We're both on Twitter pretty regularly. Send us a message if
Even
you
if I
somehow.
don't. So even if I don't tweet much, I'm lurking.
Yeah, she lurks a lot. Send us a message if you're somehow listening to this and not already a follower of one of us. I don't think we have much of a user base outside of our Twitter followers, so I guess it's kind of pointless to throw our handles out every week. But I guess eventually it'll be relevant. I'd like to think. You're listening to us on our YouTube channel, obviously. I don't know how to do our RSS feed stuff, so maybe someday we'll have this all up on iTunes, something like that. But YouTube's free, so I like that. I'll keep posting them on YouTube for now. That's everything I got for this week. Any final thoughts, Mel?
No, I think I pretty much said everything. Lots of opinions today.
Yeah, I guess it got kind of heated. Hopefully that didn't sound too ranty on our end. Alright guys, thanks for listening. We'll see you again in 2 weeks.
Well, see ya.